follow your passion might be a perfect question to ask and might have a perfect answer when interpreted right.
Let's start tracking which stocks can actually go up and go down, or which stocks have an advantage with the vaccine coming out.
Why it would have been more expensive to fake a moon landing back in those days. It's quite an interesting video to watch.
The economic activity created from the App Store alone is worth $500 billion.
So let's move on to the next question.
Man, it was too easy.
Too easy, no? Why didn't you answer?
हेलो देवियों और सज्जनों, आपका स्वागत है ये एपिसोड पे कार्यक्रम पे जहाँ हम कॉलेज की लेते हैं. I'm just kidding. Welcome to another episode of Zero Chill. It's our Monday kind of podcast. For those of you that are listening in or tuning in for the first time ever, we're here to produce live content for you. All of this is done live. We're actually in a library somewhere in London, if I'm not wrong. And we do it so that we can inform you guys on common topics, that a lot of questions that people have. So I think let's just check where the live chat's at. If the live chat's up.
See here. And we have more than 100 folks watching us.
Awesome.
I think good to get going.
Good to go. What's the topic today, my friend?
Cool. So today, I'm going to ask you, sponsored by Red Bull?
Not sponsored by Red Bull. I wish. Red Bull, if you're listening to me, call me. I need...
I've been chatting with the audience over our Discord server, kind of very actively over the last 2 days, and obviously on and off over the last many months about a certain specific topic. And that topic is, college mein to aa gaye hain, does it make sense to drop out? And this wasn't a very popular question, even though, it was a very popular concern in our heads. It wasn't a very popular question. But this is becoming a very popular question across Google as well. After COVID did what did. COVID kind of broke the education system, and there are people to argue that it was already broken. COVID kind of exposed the education system.
It pulled the curtain down. Like, in a play, on a stage, there are a few people on the stage, and there's a curtain to divide the people in the backstage and the people, who are in the audience.
Perfect. So just like this, we're going to answer the question for you. That is, should you drop out? / is college really worth it? So tell me, what did COVID bring down curtains on? What was happening? पर्दे के पीछे क्या है?
So, पर्दे के पीछे, we realized, and I knew this, okay? And firstly, some credentials, because when I post about this on Instagram, some random guy will be like, bro, without a degree, you will never get a job. Some credentials, right? Everybody knows I started a company when I was young and I raised, capital early. But few people know what that company was about. The company was a recruitment platform, right? And our goal was to help people get placed. We did 4 million requests in 2016, worked with 1,500 recruiters, including Uber, Swiggy, massive companies, Infosys, right? And we saw stuff at the back end, we saw the data. Firstly, one very weird thing we saw was that people who went through engineering, specifically engineering college.
Okay, wait, you talk about you were in a recruitment business and you were analyzing data. But see, when anyone says data, I get this trigger in my head that you can lie with stats. So how big was that data? Was that sample size enough? Were you just working with 1,000 few students, or was it a sizable number?
Yeah, it's more than 200,000 students.
Across India?
Across India. Not
freshers.
Just students.
Freshers.
Not just freshers, but also people, but mostly freshers. Like about 85% of our audience was freshers.
So about 1.5 lakh freshers data is what you observe?
More than 4 million requests of them. And 1,500 recruiters, the biggest recruiters in India. So I know their problem points. I know the kind of stuff that happens behind the curtain. Like I said, there's a curtain. And till COVID, I was behind the curtain. And I'm like that guy who came out of the curtain and said, guys, scam. And nobody listened to me. People abuse me. And I've been doing this for 5 years, by the way. So you can imagine the hate I got 5 years ago when, everything was very important. I said, and I'll be very clear about what I said. if you go to an IIT or a BITS or one of the top 5-10 colleges, you'll probably do well in life. The alumni network is great. It's less about the teaching, it's the alumni network. You'll probably do well in life. And I usually don't recommend those people to drop out unless they're really passionate about something. But if you're going to a Lalu Prasad University of Technology, where, and I've seen these, I don't know.
Sure you want to take that name?
Okay, whatever.
Kamla Prasad. Okay.
Kamla Prasad Institute of Technology,
Right.
where, you know, I'll tell you what these colleges are like. Okay, it's like a building, one building. The second floor is the college.
Okay.
Literally,
okay.
the second floor is the
Got it.
college.
So they've rented it's like an office space. It's not a campus.
Yeah, it's not a campus, it's an office space. Second floor is the college. There's a classroom of like 100 people. Teachers rotate in the same classroom. Okay, it's real, there's no campus life, there's nothing. It's just you're going there to get a degree so that you impress your parents, and your parents are hoping that the degree impresses their friends and also gets you a job.
Got it. So can I take...
And that is more than most of colleges in India.
That's the bulk of tier 3 or tier 2 college.
Exactly.
Tier 3 mostly. So some of tier 2. Anyway, but should we take this away as if you don't have a campus, your college is not worth it? If you have a campus, it's worth it.
Here's the thing, right? College is made out of two parts. When I went to Manipal, I really, like even till today, I can smell that soil makes or gives out when rain comes on. And Manipal used to perennially be raining. You've been to Manipal. I love that. I love the people that I met. I love the friends that I have, the experiences, going to the beach, etc. What I hated was the teaching, right? There were teachers who were very inexperienced teaching, right? It's the same, and that's the thing, right? Like even though I paid a certain amount, I kind of made it out because, you know, I got those experiences of learning how to be a human being in an environment, in a social environment without my parents to help, right? I feel that is the biggest value of college, right? Now, if you're missing out on that and you're in one of those colleges where the campus life is absolutely doesn't exist, then you should drop out. And that is most of colleges in India, right? Or where the social life is there, but it's like very, very minimal. It's like kind of tacked on. You just have a few friends and then that's it, right? So you have to be very careful about what does college give me? What does it teach me, right? And that's, I think, the starting point of this discussion.
Okay, got it. So your college is probably not worth it if it doesn't have a campus and a lot of effort being made to generate activities within campus so that you guys interact. There should be clubs, there should be fests, there should be societies and whatnot. So that's the point.
Exactly. And this is also what made Harvard really popular, right? In the past, Harvard was known for a place where if you got in through pure merit, you would get to hang out with the most richest, with the richest.
Pure merit.
Like you actually got in through because your scores are high and your letter is like very good. Then you would meet really smart, rich people or kids of rich people, kids of politicians, which is useful later in life.
Connections.
Right? Connections. Because look, your network is truly your net worth. Like this is a statement that's probably overused, but it is actually true. Tomorrow, if you want to build a business, if you want to raise capital, if you want to find co-founders, you need a network to rely on, right? The only thing is, and this is why when Harvard does this paper that came out by somebody saying that 42% of people who get into Harvard are people who got in through the dean's list.
Correct.
Right? Which is, in a short way, it's like donation seats. Right? But that's not a bad thing. Because those people who came in through the donation seats, they might not be smart, but their parents and the connections they have are good. And the world is not just about being smart or getting good grades. It's also about how connected you are. And you get into Harvard, of the other, 58%, you would get access to these great connections. Right? Now, fast forward to COVID time. In the COVID period, you have this environment.
Campus is gone.
Campus is gone.
For even Harvard, probably.
Campus is gone, right? So whether, and a college might say, you can still make friends on Zoom. Well, there are plenty of ways to make friends online now. There are plenty of Discord servers, our own server, plenty of YouTubers who you can follow, their servers. So it's like, now like the game is turned on its head. Now college is just as good as any other online campus, right? And there is where the cracks in the game were found, right? And it got even worse when colleges said, we are not going to reduce fees.
Got it. Okay, I understand. So let me just quickly sum it up for anyone and everyone there. Your college is not worth it without the campus because teaching is super poor. And now if you take away the campus part as well, which for a lot of tier 3 colleges doesn't exist, you were just paying for tuition, which was never worth it. Otherwise, you were paying for the campus, which was kind of worth it. This is not worth it. So, what is the alternative? Do we need a new? I mean, people keep talking about a new education system reform. What is the alternative? If we're doing this, if we're finding campuses online, what number one, how does that happen? And number two, how do you fix the education system?
So I think it's going to be split now. Okay.
Okay.
It's going to be split into two parts.
College and campus.
Yes, college and campus is going to be split. Your college, this is my opinion, and this is going to take like 5 years, and sometimes you could be wrong about these things, especially in a long timeline. The learning part of things can be done online, right? The learning happens online. The social part of things, you can do some parts online, you can do the voice parts, you can make friends online, but it's just not the same as doing it offline. So here's my belief. My belief is the colleges of the great campuses will become offline learning communities where you can make friends, you can go to just learn about how the world works. How do you talk? How do you shake a hand? How do you do a presentation? These sort of things are very difficult to learn online. But offline, that aura that you have when you're sitting in a room with 5 other people and you're learning from them, where you're organizing a fest, those sort of things, I don't think an online education would solve.
So basically, just trying to understand things better, you're talking about learning actually happens with people being involved into things. Learning community mein ho kya raha hai? People are actually actively pursuing something.
No, what I said was there are two kinds of learning. There's the hard skill learning and there's your soft skill learning. Let's just bucket into that.
Hard skill is
code.
Okay.
Right? Code, whatever, X kinds of
got it.
Things that you can learn online. And then there's the soft skills that you learn. Now there are exceptions to this. Remember, everything that we say, right, especially these one-line statements, there are exceptions. Medicine is something, for example, if you had a kidney disease, would you trust a doctor without a degree? Difficult, right? So really, this is all very context driven. There are some industries where you definitely need a degree because you need trust from the person that's paying you. In some industries, you don't need a degree because that credibility is not required anymore.
So who are we talking about mostly? We're talking about computer science engineers, we're talking about liberal arts.
And that is where the distinction starts. Okay. So here's how you determine. Here's the framework, right? And you can write this down if you want to. If you are somebody that is learning medicine, law, architecture, things that basically require regulatory clearance to do your job, then get a degree. It makes total sense, right? If you are somebody that is learning a digital computer science, if you're learning design, then if you're going to college, you're probably making a mistake, right? If you're still adamant on going to college at that point, you're going for the social life. You're going to, because there are plenty of things, right? For example, dating is such an important part of college. Like, people just forget this. They think, especially parents and teachers and all, they act like this doesn't exist. But it's true. Like making your first batch of friends, dating people, learning how etiquette works, for example, on a dinner table, all those things are taught to you by college, right? You can't go through life without that experience. So in those cases, if you find a fantastic campus, go there, right? So this is how the framework starts working out. But if you're somebody who's in your third year, you've gone to a terrible college where you don't have any social life, or you're doing it on Zoom, you expect the next year too to be on Zoom, then by all means, if you can learn your skill online, drop out. Especially in things like computer science, like nobody asks for degrees anymore.
Here the question starts, if I'm now at this point, if I'm considering dropout, and I fall into one of the sides that can choose to forego college or let go of college, do jobs require degrees?
Depends on the job.
Okay.
And also one more thing.
No, I belong to the set that you clearly differentiated, that okay, if you're belonging here, if you're studying design here, or if you're doing humanities, liberal arts, computer science, I belong to one of that. I've learned my skill online. Do jobs require degrees?
Nope. And even if they do, those are probably not the companies you want to work at. See, even today, there is some company somewhere in the world that is hiring COBOL engineers. COBOL is a programming language that's very, very, very old. No company would. This is because they want to maintain legacy tech. Maybe they're, handling some telephone poles, and maybe the telephone poles have, a box associated with them which uses very, very old code. They need you for maintenance. Then it makes sense to learn something extraordinarily old, right? And there you definitely probably need, some credibility that you've worked on COBOL, right? But in today's world, except those really old jobs, and you probably don't want to work in those companies. Those kind of companies are, I'm not going to take names, but it rhymes with GSNL. Right? You probably don't want to work with those sort of companies. But for modern companies, especially with computer science, design, digital skills, a job or a degree is not necessary.
Okay.
Right? And we've seen this. Like, I have more than 200,000 resumes proving this. Right? And I've seen interaction between recruiters and students. Now you might say, and some people do this, right? They'll send me a particular link of a job and they'll be like, bro, look, this said you need a degree. Firstly, who writes the job descriptions? It's not the CEO, the leadership of the company that writes job descriptions. It's some guy in the company who is not even the head of HR. It's probably some, subdivision of the HR, maybe 3 levels down the HR, who's giving you this job description. What is he doing? He's copying another job description.
Okay, fair enough. I need to understand, there are definitely jobs, but one, since I'm the voice of the audience today, there's a very peculiar question that pops up, that you want us to learn digital skills, okay? Design, marketing, code, a few more. How much of the job market is actually digital skills? And what is the future prospect of it?
Got it. So there is this famous statement by either Andreessen Horowitz or one of the guys from the Andreessen Horowitz team. Software is eating the world, and that statement has been proved
Reid
out right.
Hoffman.
No, I don't think it's Reid Hoffman.
I think it's LinkedIn founder.
No, it's one of those guys. Anyway,
Okay.
software is eating the world, right? And that means that one day, and this is a novel quote, which is either you are in the software business or one day a software business is going to be in your business, right? So even the most obscure of businesses, say garbage collection, is going to have software involved in it at some point, right? There's probably going to be a robot, which is the physical layer, and then there's going to be software which moves the robot. And then probably somebody can sit at home, use an Xbox remote controller, or better yet, the robot actively, figures out the problem, picks it up, and moves away.
So every business is going to be software business?
In a 10-20 year timeline. So if you're saying, I don't want to be in a software, and by the way, software business does not mean you have to code,
coding, yeah.
right? You could also do design. You could also build the interface layer. You could build the robotics for it. You could build the website so that customers who buy that product.
Or you could be doing digital community management.
Yeah, you can do community management so that people who have problems with the garbage collection, when they come online, you answer those questions. There's plenty of roles that surround that central software roles that you can fit into.
So everything that surrounds the software is going to be in every business, all industries.
100%. This is over 10-year timeline. This is a
So there's a
guarantee.
suite of skills that's going to enter every industry, and that suite of skills is what digital skills are.
Yes.
So digital skills are going to be in every industry.
Every industry. So maybe not all roles in an industry will be digital skills or require digital skills, but most roles will. I had this one guy who DM'd me the other day. He's like, agriculture will never, have software in it.
Why not?
What is wrong with you? Like, you should look at the VC funding that's going to agriculture, both in India as well as in the US. Most of it is going to companies that can figure out what is the irrigation level. Companies that can create automatic sprinklers that, when they feel like the soil is reaching a particular either temperature or water content, it automatically switches on.
So they've made specific sensors for irrigation and whatnot. IoT has already gotten there.
And it's there. And even in the most remote of farms in India, it's being given out. Right? The government is actually encouraging this because, and what is a tractor? Right? Think about what a tractor is in the first place. But earlier, humans used to manually farm. Then somebody created a tractor, and now humans use a tractor to farm. Right? So everything, and a tractor might not be code, but eventually in the future, a tractor will start moving on its own, especially in, open fields where even a little bit of loss is fine, and not like a road where, small losses will lead to a crash. It's probably going to be implemented even before, modern things.
I think technology has entered, it's going to be another shift like technology. Technology entered every single industry. And it typically existed as machines. You weren't averse to technology entering every industry. I think now bulk of the technology is digital, and digital is going to enter every industry. Software is also technology, and that's the next layer of tech that's penetrating every industry.
Cool. So any more questions you have?
I think that clears a lot of things, but perhaps since this has set the foundation, we'll have to go deeper in a forthcoming episode. We'll wait for that. But until then, thank you so much, Varun.
No, I think we've got another 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So listen, I want to kind of answer your question, right? With the first or the question of this title, should you drop out? Here's the algorithm. Here's the algorithm. You can write this down. I'm repeating this again. Find out whether your job needs a regulatory degree. Like, is there a regulatory need for a degree, or is it an employer need for a degree? Differentiate the two, because if you try to cut somebody and do a surgery without a degree, you're probably going to jail. Right? If you try and be a lawyer without having a degree, you can't get very far. Right? So learn in your head to differentiate the two. If an employer requires degree, find out whether all employers require degree, or is there only a small segment of old school employees that require degrees. And don't worry even if it's 50-50. If it's 50-50 and some employees require degrees, some employees don't require degrees, eventually most employers won't require degrees. It's a trend line, right? You want to be relevant for the future. You don't want to have a job today and then be like, oh yeah, it's only relevant for the next 1 year. You want to make sure that's relevant for the next 20, 30 years. And remember, if you go through college, it's a 4-year journey, 4 to 5 year journey, right? So, and if you're planning to do a master's, that's like 4 years plus 2 years on the master, that's like 6 years. In 6 years, I can guarantee you if there's 50-50, it'll be 100% not degree required, right? If there's a job where a degree is not required, ask yourself, am I having fun on the campus? Is my campus life amazing, right? And if you're doing it on Zoom, don't imagine that, oh, campus life would have been amazing if I was there. Ask yourself, if this stays on Zoom, am I still going to have that fun? Am I still going to have that experience of meeting people, shaking hands, doing a presentation on stage, going out and talking to somebody? Like those parts are important, right? Ask yourself if that's available. If that's also not available, then ask yourself the interest in the subject. Do you love the teacher? Is the teacher teaching you amazing stuff? And you might say, oh, there's content available on YouTube, whatever, but there can be a premium paid for good teachers. If it's very hard to find them somewhere else, fantastic. You might as well, pay them if you feel like they are going to teach you something and they're going to get you across the finish line on completing one subject. Find out. Now, if you're doing rubbish assignments, give your college negative marks. And then finally, you arrive at a place which is like, should I drop out or should I not drop out?
Cool. Let me summarize. First is figure out, does your industry want degrees?
Yes.
There could be, what is the industry norm? There could be employers wanting it, but what is the typical...
Is it employers or regulators?
Does the industry want degrees in general? Because computer science doesn't anymore. Cool. That's one. Answer something there.
And it need not be a consensus. You don't need everyone.
So yes or no. If we say no, or sorry, it doesn't want degrees, then you're in this set. Now another filtering question, that is, does your college have an active campus? Active campus, that means there are things happening. There's an ISEC there. There are other societies.
IEEE or whatever.
Yeah. So is that stuff fulfilling and helping you? Yes or no? If it doesn't have, then the last barrier is, are your teachers super amazing? And there's no, they can't be average. Average is not worth it. If they're super amazing, if you have 1 or 2 teachers who are super amazing, I think accounting for your entire college fees towards them is also fine, right?
Yeah, because especially they're spending time.
Hard to find super amazing teachers.
Yeah. And then finally at the exit line.
If you're there,
yeah, it's the exit line, and this is one piece of tip or a tip. How do you actually drop out? Right? What's the way to kind of parachute out? Is to do it gracefully. Is to do it without burning bridges, and is to actually sit with your parents, show them the career prospectus for what you're doing, show them the industry, show them the trend line. Dude, imagine that your parents are very hard to please investors. How would you make a 30-slide presentation to show them what is going on in the industry and where it's going? And what is your tactical plan? You can't just drop out without a plan. Because if you drop out and you say, I don't have a plan, but college is bad, it's wasting my money, you'll get in even deeper trouble. Because even though college might not have given you placement, and by the way, any college saying 100% placements is a scam, even the best ones. But even if your college might not have given you a job, you will get blamed for it and say, hey, you dropped out. If you were in college, you might have got a job. So have a plan. Preferably have one skill already before you decide to drop out. And that you'll have to do 2 at a time. Do your college and start learning a skill together. And if you find that you have gotten good at the skill, if you find that people around you feel you've gotten good at that skill, then the next step would to consider to kind of drop out.
So basically take a quick crash course in a skill.
Not a quick crash course, but like spend some time creating stuff.
6 months, a year, figure the skill out, and then how do you validate it? Run it through employers, and if you have...
Either employers, it could also be friends, it could be people in the industry. That's why a network is important. And if you don't have a network, we've got one on the Avalon, so we could just come and say, here's my skill, is this relevant enough?
Give me feedback.
Give me feedback, right? You can always ask for feedback, and there'll always be somebody or the other to help you out.
Got it. Okay. I think this was good. Now it's an actual wrap. Thank you so much, Varun. This was fun. We're gonna be continuing this discussion in the network that we spoke about, Avalon Meta Virtual Campus, which is on Discord. Tonight's Avalon Overnight, an open forum discussion at 11, is about should you drop out. We'll see you there.
Bye.